Okay, everyone. So the Pittsburgh Pro is complete. I can't believe it's behind us. I am Sam McDonough, IFBB Bikini Pro, and we are going to recap what happened. I have screen recordings, but they don't seem to be, they seem like they need to download again, I guess. So that's what's going on down here. If they end up working, then we'll take a look at those. But yeah, so let's get into it. I feel like I'm on the come down from this show because like I was, looking, the anticipation was so high. So okay, let's take a look. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. So, let's take a look. So this was well, first, let's look at who got what placings, and then let's compare it against what I thought. So here are our placings. Okay, bikini. Here it is. Okay, so here are the placings. My placings were, I believe I got sixth place right, which was Allie Vathauer. Okay, so here is what I said. So here's what I put first. Yulia and Jordan, I thought they would compare fairly well to each other. That's what I wrote, next to each other. And then I said that Alice beat Ari at Tampa, but Ari was not at her best at Tampa. Is that what I meant? Yeah. So who placed above who? So Alice placed a couple places above Ari, and then I thought Lacey and Alice would compare well together, and Lacey and Alice were a few places apart. Then I also thought Jessica and Tori would compare well to each other. Jessica got 14th, and then Tori did not place. So who did I get correct? So my placings were Maureen, Aimee, Ashlyn, Maria, Ariana, Allie, Evie, Alice, Jordan, Lexus, Lacey, Jessica, Yulia, Sharon, and Tori. And like we talked about in the last video, like placings could really go any way. It just depends on who shows up looking what way and how people look compared to each other. So how did it end up actually going? So I got in my top five, I got three of the top five because I had Maureen. I got four of the top five because I had Maureen, Aimee, Ashlyn, and Maria. And then sixth place was Allie Vathauer. I had Allie in sixth. And then seventh, I had Evie, but it was Alice. So yeah. And then Jordan, I had as a ninth, but she got eighth. Ariana, I had as, oh, did I not even put Ari in? Oh yeah, as fifth, but she got ninth. And then Lacey, I had an 11th. She got 10th. Yulia did not, Yulia was not in my prediction. Okay, yeah. So I got a couple correct, right? I got Maria, no, sorry, not Maria. I got Allie, and I only got Allie right as far as like exact placing, sixth place. So yeah, only got one right. And then of the top 15, the people I did not have were, Lexus, I had, in 10th, she got 15th. Okay, so of the top 15, the ones that I did not have were, I had Jessica and Lexus, and Sharon got 13th. I had Sharon as 14th. And then G-Bin okay, so I didn't have G-Bin, so that's one. I didn't have Yulia, so that's two. No, I did have her. Okay, sorry. So I got everyone, okay, except for G-Bin. I think I got everyone in there except for G-Bin. So G-Bin was the only one that I didn't have in 15th, and instead I had Tori. But I had everyone else, so, I mean, yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess. I think most people could have guessed top 15 more, but, okay, so, that's what I had. Now, let's get into it. Let's see if my little videos have loaded. No, so sad. Okay, so, let's talk about what went down. I have photos here. So, and I wrote little notes. Okay, so I have my little notes, which are, I should have, okay, first of all, here's some takeaways that I have. First of all, the women's physique routines moved me to tears. They were beautiful. The music that the women's physique competitors chose, it was just so moving to see these women work so hard on their routines, choose songs that were meaningful to them, and just the artfulness that goes into it. Because, like, bikini competitors, and I'm not trying to be any kind of way when I say this, but, like, any woman who walks down the street, and not to make it about sexuality, but, like, any woman who walks down the street Like people want to bone her. Okay, I don't mean to be gross, but like that's true. Women's physique competitors and just like these bigger divisions, the people that like grow to get the women who grow to get this much muscle, like women's physique, even figure, and bodybuilders have, and it really just goes against the grain to do bodybuilding as a woman in general, because women are not encouraged to be strong or to have muscle, and it's seen as intimidating to a lot of people. Like when you become a personal trainer, the first thing bosses said to me, because I was like, why does it say like, is your partner supportive of like what your plan is? Because I just like do not understand the concept of a partner not wanting you to get healthier. Not that bodybuilding specifically is healthier, but these are just natural or normal gym people, um, who like go to the gym to look a little better, to feel physically better, to feel more capable. And it surprised me, like in our little questionnaire at the first gym that I worked at, if it said that, is your partner supportive of you? Because to me, I'm like, well, why the fuck does it matter? Like, why if they don't, then bye bye. Like, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you support that? So it's one thing to like have someone be supportive in that way. And then it's another thing to do bodybuilding where you are like putting on an amount of muscle and eating in a way that people are like, why the heck would you ever do that? That's crazy. Like, I like to eat. Like, that's what people like to say to bodybuilders. I like to eat, so I can never do it. And that's fine. Like, I don't really care. Not everyone should do bodybuilding, for many reasons, but that's one. So for someone to take it to the level of like women's physique and women's bodybuilding especially, like bodybuilding really is their passion, because someone who does bikini already gets judgment from the outside world. And when I say that, I mean especially men, but like when you get into those bigger divisions, men and women, and I mean probably less non-binary people, trans people, because like people in the queer community, I'd like to think that we are a little more with it and we get that the way you look is an expression of yourself, whatever that means. Um, and like it's more accepted. But like in straight world, to walk around looking like a women's physique competitor or women's bodybuilder, like that really is your passion. Because like I said, people who walk around in these wellness bodies, bikini bodies, women walk down the street and like people want to fuck them. But like people who do these bigger divisions, they get so much criticism for the way they look. And men always make it about like, oh, well, you don't, obviously you must be gay or you must like just be a man. And they're so judgmental and gross. And from what I've heard women's bodybuilders talk about, like when they are looked at in like a romantic way, it often feels like fetishization, where they see the muscle first and they don't see the person. And they might never see the person. They only care about the muscle that this person carries. So it was just so moving for me to see these women who dedicate their lives to bodybuilding. They look a certain way all year round, even if they're lean or not. Like when you carry around that muscle, that amount of muscle, that muscle is obvious. Like, and you gain judgment from everyone, especially men. And we know the position that men hold in our society, where they're like put on this pedestal for God knows why. Actually, we know why, because of misogyny. We're built on misogyny and racism. That's what the U.S. at least is built on. And oppressing women, blah blah blah. So it was just so moving to me to see these women dedicate their entire lives, every second of their lives, like is related to bodybuilding in some way, and to see their passion on stage and all their hard work pay off was just so incredibly moving to me. And like the hate that women's bodybuilders get from like women too is just so disturbing and upsetting. And I just appreciate women's bodybuilders so much for going against the grain in such a major way, because women are not encouraged to have any of the things that I said, like muscle, feeling powerful, things like that. So I really suggest you watch the women's physique routines. I'll pull up Natalia. Is it Soltero? NPC? Is this who I'm thinking of? No, not Soltero. Okay, it's Coelho. Okay, so I'm gonna show you her posing routine. And when I say the like men want to hook up with you kind of thing, I don't mean it to be that way. I just mean like men make it about like either fetishization or calling these women like gross or something. And I just find it like utterly disturbing and gross. And I don't know. Hopefully you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying to find one of her posing routines. One sec. Okay, so this is not from yesterday, and this is not even like with any of the music or anything, but just look at the beauty and intentionality with every move Natalia makes on stage. And this shape is utterly insane. Like, it's hard to believe somebody can look like this. Like, how tight her waist is, her dimensions go like twice as big as her like waist shape. It is just absolutely, it's 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 beautiful. Like, it just takes my breath away. I mean, look at her at the Olympia. So she won women's physique yesterday, and look at the grace and how thought through every single movement is. I was really moved yesterday. I can't say it enough. Like, I'm pretty speechless, as you can tell. So let's get into bikini. So I think that this is the first bodybuilding competition since I've been following the sport, which has been like pretty seriously for about almost 5 years. Um, this sport or this show was probably one of the biggest, like the biggest upset I've seen since I got into the sport. So like Nick Walker, I don't really follow men's bodybuilding like that. I mean, I actually kind of do. But I it just seemed like, sorry, Nick got robbed. Like, Nick Walker, I think, should have won. Um, Derek's waist wasn't as in shape as usual, or as like I think it should have been. What do I know? But like Nick, I think had him, and I'm not a Nick stan or anything, but like I respect what these people do. Um, and yeah, and I kind of felt similarly about bikini yesterday. So let's get into it. So in first place, we had Aimee, second, Ashlyn, third, Maureen, fourth, Evie, fifth, Maria, sixth, Allie, seventh, Alice. I think Alice got seventh. Let's double check that. And then eighth, we had Jordan. So pulling this up, yeah, okay. So in seventh, we had Alice. Okay. So I thought that I probably shouldn't say this, honestly, but I do not think Maureen should have gotten third place. I love Maureen. You know that Maureen is my favorite bikini physique that there ever was. Um, but Maureen, she came in with fucking phenomenal stage presence. And I always say stage presence can overcome a lot. Like, if you have that stage vibe, then you can get the judges to look past like something in her physique being missing. However, and I'll go through some Maureen's posing, but Maureen, she just did not have that density that we're used to in her glutes. In her front pose, it was still sloping off like we've talked about. Like, she doesn't have that great of like glute profile, glute profile. And her posing was the same as it was when she won and when she got second at the Olympia. And it's good, but she moves and you want to maintain an hourglass shape the entire time you're on stage. But the way she's kind of snaking her shoulder back, like, she has great shape and her conditioning was the same as it always is, but the glute density was not there this time. And Maureen is known for having like that softness to her physique, but bringing density and glutes that do not move when she walks to the back, or does her turns or anything. So my issue was that she's doing poses like this. She's pretty forward facing. We're missing that shoulder. So there is no hourglass shape in this transition. We get hourglass in her front pose, but she is lacking in that upper outer glute area. She's a little too forward facing. I'm not really getting that much hourglass. Hair and makeup suit, gorgeous. I loved the suit when she got on stage. And then she does her little transition. She's not giving much hourglass here because her feet are like staggered. So if she moved her foot right here, she would get better hourglass like with her feet. Her hand, it doesn't look like she's finishing the pose. She just kind of moves through it, which is okay. But you're not giving hourglass. And then she walks to the back in her routine and her glutes flatten. You see it flatten through there. The softness, it doesn't look like it's too soft in this glute right here, but the density is not as there as like say a Maria. And then she turns around, better hourglass shape here, better, and then opens up into her front pose again and finishes off her routine. My issue was that the density was not there. Stage presence was incredible, but the people who placed above her had density, they had hourglass in every single pose, and their conditioning was there. So even though it can overcome a lot, I don't see how it overcame someone like Maria. I just don't get it. Like, that's where I think name really came into play and like politics at this show, because all of these other girls, Maureen's presence is better than every single person's on this stage by 50,000 miles. Like, and their presence is good. Ashlyn especially, I think Ashlyn has the second best presence in this show. Maureen's is the best in the entire league, best there ever was, in my opinion. Her and Jen are really tight there. Laura Lee too. So actually, those three are pretty high up there. But I think Maureen edges out Jen and Laura Lee in her stage presence. Aimee always struggles a little bit with her walk. It's a little too bouncy and kind of awkward for me. She looks down a lot. And then Ashlyn, her posing is really good. And then in fourth place, we had Evie. Her presence is good. She does extra poses I don't think are necessary, which I will get into. But I don't see how Maureen edges out an Evie or edges out a Maria. Like, it just doesn't make sense except for name. And it reminds me of how Angelica, like, God bless Angelica. She's great. Thank you for winning the Olympia twice. She's awesome. But I don't think she deserved a 10th place at the Olympia last year. She was harder than everyone else, didn't have the same pop as some of the other people in the top 15 who she beat. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to take anything away from any of these competitors. They're all incredible. And maybe me saying that doesn't even take away from the fact that I am saying something that might be considered mean. But it just seemed like name recognition got Angelica 10th place at the Olympia. Like, she beat out Allie, who was in the first call out, who Allie ended up getting, this Allie over here, Allie ended up getting 11th at last year's Olympia after getting into that first call out of 6 or 7, I believe. And then she also, Angelica got 4th at the Arnold, placing above, like, Ellie Fernandez. And I think Ellie had, like, better pop and shape on stage than Angelica did. So I think politics has come into play over the past couple of years with Maureen and Angelica. And Maureen, if she just gets glute density, she has it. She wins the show because, like, everything else is great. But yeah, it just did not compute for me. So there are some things that I disagreed with the show. But anyway, let's get into this first call out. So in our top 4, we're looking at them right here. Let's see if this video loaded. I'm thinking no, but I'll click on it anyway. Okay, so Aimee stood out. Her presence was the best that it has ever been. There are some things I would change, like in her walk, she like is kind of bouncy and looks down a lot. Don't love, but it was still, you know, good enough to win. It was her 3rd win at the Pittsburgh Pro in a row, so congratulations. She's now Olympia qualified, which is crazy that she even has to do Olympia qualified because she's so good. It's like, oh, you really have to qualify? Like, how is she not just a lifetime, but you have to win Olympia to have a lifetime qualification. And then I think that of the top 4, what was not adding up for me either was Evie's look. So Evie, they like her harder. A lot like Ashley Kay, they often like her harder. Except for at this last Olympia, she came in really full and still got 2nd place, so best she's done since she last won, which was 2016, I believe. I think she was 2014, 15, 16, won the Olympia. So Evie looks better harder, but I think how hard she has to get to look her best goes outside of the bikini criteria. Because if they say they want someone to look as soft as like Maureen did, Jen did at the 22, 23, and then last year Laura Lee had a softness to her physique, but still like really incredible pop, then I don't see how Evie would place above Maria, who had, and maybe it'll be better if I pull up some individuals right now. But Maria had a lot more pop to her physique and fullness. So I just didn't really see how it would go Aimee, who was fuller and softer, Ashlyn, who was a little less soft than Aimee, but pretty comparable. And then Maureen, who was soft and didn't have density. And then Evie, who's super hard. And then Maria, who's similar to Ashlyn again. Like, I just didn't really understand that. So here is Aimee. This is one of my favorite looks on Aimee. The only thing I think is that she didn't quite have the same pop in her shoulders to match her upper outer glute. So I'll just pull them up next to each other because the comparison photos on here are not that awesome. They are a little bit too low of an angle. So when I pull all of them up, I'll pause this. Okay, this isn't like the perfect angle. But when I pull all of them up, then you see that Aimee is pretty hourglass top to bottom. Okay, so okay, it gave me a little notification that like the video might be corrupted. So I just checked and it looks like it's fine, but I'm making a part two. Okay, so when I look at Aimee, okay, I close my eyes, my eyes go to her glutes. So that's the first thing that I see. In bikini, you don't want anything to stand out. You want everything to be in balance with each other. When I look at Ashlyn, what stands out to me is that her arm is a little bit far out. The great things about Aimee, hair and makeup, suit, gorgeous. Favorite suit I've ever seen her wear. I loved it. It's pretty similar to her others, but like on the stream, it looked gorgeous. Hair and makeup look beautiful. She's beautiful. Popped her muscles, skin texture, perfect. Ashlyn, first thing I think, hair, makeup, beautiful as usual. Suit, I would love some more coverage right here. It makes her look oddly heavy on the side over here. So if she could actually, she's wearing, I think, a molded cup. If she's not, then she's wearing a moderate slim, so it's taller. I want her to get more this shape. Or yeah, more of this shape. So something that goes wider across, covers up this side boob. And yeah, because it just makes her look oddly heavy over here because it's like a harsh stop of her suit. And then I see lat, bicep, tricep, shoulder. It just throws it off for me. And I look at Maureen, I think great complexion, a little more upper outer glute, and I'm losing a little density in the legs, but upper body looks dense. But beautiful, breathtaking. I look at Evie, and I think great shape, but needs some posing tweaks and a little bit hard. I couldn't pull up Maria because I ran out of room on my screen, but we'll pull up Maria in a sec. So yeah, okay. And I actually wrote down my thoughts on these people, so I don't know why I'm going off of it like this. So, but when I look at them next to each other, here's what I wrote in real time. I wrote tight waist, perfect conditioning, great confidence, love the hair, maybe could brush. So when she turns to the back, don't love the bouncy back walk. Suit is pretty. I think she dropped all the hair flips with 3 question marks because usually she'll like grab her hair, throw it, grab her hair again, throw it again, and I'm like, that's just too much. She dropped that. So I thought it was a much tighter routine, really good, loved the improvements there, and I thought her glutes were overpowering in the front. So in bikini, you want everything to be in balance with each other. She used to get more pop in her front pose, in her shoulders, but she was told she was too shouldery for a while, so she looks like she kind of depleted them. So here she is at last year's Pittsburgh, which was my previous favorite look of hers. And she had a lot more pop and roundness in her shoulders. You can see here that she has like equal pop to the low body here. I wish she still had that pop because now she's brought the glutes up so the shoulders are not overpowering to the glutes like they slightly were here. But now her shoulder just looks a little bit deflated, which makes her look a lot more developed in the lower body than she is in the upper body. So I just want more of this. I think that if we could just stick it on to this look, that would be the perfect look that I'm like, no argument, she wins this show. But I do think there were arguments for other people to win this show. So yeah, I want more lax. It's kind of not very tapering into the waist. A little bit, but not much. Maureen, I think, has a better taper here. Maybe some could say a little extreme, but I don't think it's too extreme. So that is one of the holes for me with Aimee. That and the back walk with like how it looks little unnatural. So that's what I think. So between her and Ashlyn, well, let's just move on to Ashlyn. So with Ashlyn, I wrote amazing, breathtaking, and I wrote hair on the shoulder. She always does this, and I do not get it. The only thing I can think of is that since she gets a little harder up top than she looks on bottom, since these muscle insertions are shorter, then she looks tighter. I think that it is to cover up like maybe an imbalance from top to bottom with that, but she has equal conditioning in this leg here, so I really don't think it's necessary. And if you see, this shoulder is all the way down here, so she might be doing it because she does not have the mobility to keep her shoulders level while also twisting enough to get that hourglass shape up top. So the front pose really, there are some tweaks that I'm just like, they'd be so simple, and they'd change things. Like, I think it could be a lights out for Ashlyn if she changed this front pose a little bit. I don't know what her feedback is. I assume it's going to be more density in the legs. That's what she was told at the Olympia. I think, Ashlyn, if you're watching, I doubt it, but if you're watching, let me know if you want. But yeah, I think the leg looks great. The glute distracts me a teensy bit, but it's very imbalanced with the legs, and it doesn't distract me as much as Aimee's for some reason. And maybe it is because I can see all this skin over here, which is matching the amount of skin I see here, if that even makes sense. Aimee, I don't think the hair is making much difference. Regardless, I'm going to see more pop in these shoulders. Ashlyn, yeah, I just want to see shoulders level. She's always hunched forward, and the arm always sticks out. If she's brought that arm tighter to her frame, and same with all these people, actually, maybe Aimee. Aimee is fine here, I think. Best front pose yet, I think. But yeah, if she could just bring that arm tighter, she would get much better hourglass shape. If she did that, stood up taller, then I think that would change a lot for her. I think she could have maybe even won this show. Looking at Maureen, we already talked about Maureen. I don't see any hamstring here. I need density and fullness in the legs, like it's in the upper body. And then Evie, she's just very noticeably harder than everyone else here. So now I'm gonna pull up. I'm just gonna take Maureen down. Actually, no, I won't take her down yet. So here is Maria, and I think Maria's conditioning is way more comparable to top two than Evie is. Like, to me, I honestly would not have been upset if Maria won this show. Like, Maria, I think, has excellent balance. Conditioning she could be a little tighter. I'm losing it a little bit in the core, but I think she could have won this show and there wouldn't have been very much of an argument. Her waist is not as tiny as the top two, so I could see that, or even, Maureen is so front facing that her waist just doesn't look as small, but her waist is small. But like, maybe Maria's waist, that's the argument, it's just like a little too big compared to the 1, 2, and 4. But Maria, I thought, really brought it. And here's what Maria looked like in the call out. So here's Maria in that first call out on the end. I think she compared really well to like an Aimee and an Ashlyn. And Allie, she's someone who I think could win. So yeah, it just seems like one is not like the others with the amount of hardness Evie brought to this stage. So if I were to place these athletes, it would be potentially Maria or Allie Vathauer in first place, fighting with Aimee for it, but and then like the rest of the people, honestly. I mean, I guess I'll get more into it, but yeah. So that's what I think when I look at these front poses. So Evie, same things I always say, bring the arm in, and yeah, I just don't know that her conditioning is very, very bikini, even though that's what they like most on her. So okay, I guess there is that, and then let's bring up, and then I also wrote about Maureen. So what did I say about Maureen? I said, where is she? Well, I said Maureen and Ari look similar in terms of their conditioning. And then I said Maureen was a standout, all caps, I love, all caps, the suit, glam, tan, perfect. All the dads, I don't know what that meant. Hair on back. Oh, when she was turning in her back pose, her hair, I wanted it on her back. Great conditioning, but seemed like she lacked glute density. And then about Maria, I said hairbrush, like in the back. Some steps were a tad too hard, which caused jiggling. And then, who was the other one? Evie, I wrote that Evie, where is she? Evie, I wrote that she did that front pose pre-sequence where she does like all of this stuff. So I'll show you. Let's see. This open? No. Okay. So let's look at Evie's posing. So she opens with like this, getting into the pose, and then she does like this little X thing with her hands and then puts both her hands on her hips. And it's just a similar width top to bottom, does not really give hourglass. So I just want that out of her routine. And then she does this little like arm thing. It just doesn't really seem to help, so I don't really get it. But great confidence, like live for that, but I just don't really get it. Okay, and then let's go to back poses now. So let's see if these photos were better for back poses. Okay, no. So here are the back poses. So this is better for our back poses. Okay, so here's Maureen. You can see the density is just not as much as like, okay, maybe it's not a good example, as we see with Aimee and Ashlyn here, like they're really bursting, and Evie. Evie's glute density is incredible. So if we look at their individual photos, then looking at Aimee, really incredible glute density. And great match between top and bottoms. This is where I went by the hair. Maybe it could be brushed, but it's actually probably fine. And I'm also not getting the pop in the rear delts that I want. It just doesn't, or maybe she's just posing a little narrow up top. Let's look at some other photos. But Aimee seriously looked incredible. I don't like, obviously Aimee's incredible. Yeah, okay, this is better. So this back pose is perfect. And I do totally see why this look would win the show. Density is great. You have that hint of a glute ham tie-in. You see the muscle belly of the hamstring, but it's not like cut into, it's perfect. And then when we look at, let's say Evie's back pose, and I'll get to everyone else too, I'm kind of going out of order. I had a lot of thoughts on the show, so I'm like struggling. Oh, okay, and in the compare callouts, I said that Allie and Ashlyn's size comparison getting better. Maureen already looks similar, except for the lack of glute density. Okay, first callouts, I said they moved Ashley and Aimee in, Maureen, Evie in. Okay, so here's Evie. You see she's a little harder in these hamstrings. You can see those cuts within the hamstring. But the pop is fucking crazy. If she was just a little softer, I think that would fit the criteria more. And I wrote that Ashlyn's walk was better than Aimee's. It was really good. And they were switching back with Maria and Evie. And Maureen was getting fatigued. She started like making adjustments to her pose. Yeah, okay. And then they moved everyone off except for Alice and Jordan because they were also in that first call out. So yeah, Evie's back pose, I think just a little bit hard. Ashlyn, her back pose was gorgeous. The only thing is that she shows her pinkies here, which I don't love, but really beautiful fullness that matches in the upper and lower. So I thought this was a great back pose for Ashlyn. A back pose also that could win the show. I mean, between the two of them, I think Aimee's a little more balanced, but honestly, just because like of proportion, like Ashlyn is just a little shorter up top, so her legs take up a little more space, and that's just a genetic thing and not something that couldn't be overcome. But against Aimee, it just stood out a little more because her back pose was a little more balanced in like actual limb and like torso measurements. But this was an incredible back pose, and her back walk I think was superior. And then Maureen, you can see the glutes kind of slope off like we talked about, and then she gets into the back pose. And here she is. So this is what I meant by her hair. Her hair was like not on her back when she at least did her individual. And her glutes were not as dense when she was moving. They looked a little soft in the glute ham tie. They tie into the hamstring beautifully, but they were a little soft in that initial connection. So yeah, that's what I thought there. And then we have, we have Evie again. So who did I not pull up? I pulled up Aimee. And then, okay. So I think we go to Maria next. I think I talked about 3 different people. So here is Evie, and let's see, Maria. Okay, here's Maria. I thought her front pose had great balance. We already talked about that. And then in her back pose, really, really full, really, 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 really full. So here is Maria. If anything, I guess they could say she became a little soft in the tie when she was walking. But this look, like this, I would not be mad if it won. It might be a little overly full, like to the point that she spilled a little bit, but everything is still tight and you can see all the lines. So I think it's a good look, and this is what I meant by brushing the hair. So if she had won, I would have been happy with that. Now, let's get into, what did I say about Maria? Okay, this is all over the place, you guys. I apologize. Okay, so for Maria, I wrote, hairbrush, custom, okay, I already talked about that. Okay, so now let's get into our other placings. So let's get into our second call out. So they Jordan and Alice were in our first call out, and then they sent everyone else off. So they sent off Maureen, Maria, Aimee, Evie, Ashlyn, and then they kept. Oh, and Allie, she was in the sixth place position. So we're going to talk about Allie. So Allie is another person I think could win the show. I see why Aimee won. Like, I see why Aimee won. But my question with Allie, so, okay, here's what I wrote about Allie. She got sixth place. And I wrote that I wrote that Allie is, she'll be last because it was last name. Almost last. So amazing, bursting full, great look all around, perfect shape, no notes. Maybe they just say more of her, but I don't even know. It's like I wouldn't change anything, but would I give her the Olympia title? So that's what I had to say about Allie. So looking at her again, I really think Allie's one of those people who has everything. She has the shape. She's very balanced. She brings in the perfect conditioning. She's super full. So, like, what would even be the feedback? So here she is, front and back. So we're going to look at just her side by side. So here's Allie front, Allie back. The only thing, okay, so here's what I was going to say. Allie is one of those people like a Jessica Wilson, but Jessica Wilson hasn't won the Open Olympia, so maybe this is flawed logic. She did win the Masters Olympia. Allie is one of those people that does not need a lot of muscle to be very successful in this sport. Like, any amount of muscle she puts on looks very big and very full because she has such tiny joints. Like, she's on the shorter side, I think maybe 5'3". Allie, if you're watching, let me know how tall you are. But she's on the shorter side. I think she's class C or D girl. It's like average height. And she has like small joints, so she doesn't need to put on a lot of muscle for it to look big. Like, think about someone like who has bigger joints that I'm thinking of? Even like Holly Baxter. I don't know if that's a good example, but let's find like Holly Baxter. So Holly is, okay, let's think about an Ariana Brothers. So here's Ari. And Ari is taller, and she has bigger joints. So, like, when you have thicker joints, you need to put on a little more size because you have more of a frame to fill out, compared to, like, an Allie. So I'll just put them side by side. Ari got ninth. So see how Ari just has a little bit bigger of joints? So she needs a little more size. She luckily has great muscle building genetics. She looks very full, and like her muscle bellies are like bursting and very similar to Maureen's. But Allie does not need a lot of size to be successful, much like a Lacey Rutland. So Lacey also is on the smaller joint side, but does like very well despite the fact that she could probably put on more muscle. So the question comes in where it's like, how much muscle ultimately do you have to put on? Because it's individual to your frame. So Allie is my question mark because I think Allie, she has all the muscle she needs to fit the criteria perfectly, but would she win an Olympia with the look she has now? Well, no, because she just got 11th at the Olympia and she looked kind of similar. Obviously, she put on size since then, but like she looks kind of similar. Here's Lacey, tall girl, so so similar to Ari, but Ari has bigger joints than Lacey. I think. I don't know. I've never met Ari in real life. I really like Ari. But like does not have as much density as Ari, but still placed top 10, one place below Ari. So the amount of size you put on in bikini is relative to your own structure. So this back pose, I think I could see this as lights out for a win. Sure, she looks a little bit tighter than Aimee, who won, but the lines are there while preserving that bubbliness and fullness. The only place I think she could put on, I guess she could put on some more density in her front pose, like in her legs, like her hamstrings, and maybe her glutes a little bit, and maybe her arms. But this, I think, nails the criteria, like 100%. Balance, symmetry, even conditioning across her body. She matches front to back, top to bottom. Jordan is someone we talk about where top to bottom, she's a little harder up top than she is on bottom, and she's harder in front as a whole than she is when she turns to the back. but there is not an inconsistency like that in Allie. So it's like, what does someone like Allie have to do to win an Olympia when she nails the criteria in every single way? I guess looking at the picture, some more density on her legs, but that's really the only thing I can think of. I mean, that's it. Allie, like, I think she could have been in an argument to win this show because I think she nails the criteria. Poise, presentation, complexion, like her tan is even. That's what complexion they mean by that. Um, yeah, Allie has everything. This arm looks like it bows out a little bit more than this one, so she could balance that. But I mean, who doesn't have a small posing tweak they could make? Like Aimee's been winning shows, and she always has a posing tweak to make. She's been working on a front pose for a while, and she's doing the right thing. She works on it every single show to see what the judges want to see. So yeah, Allie just really, really blew me away. She always does. Okay, let's get into a 7th place. So, okay. So, oh, and did I already say what I thought about Allie? Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, she was bursting full while preserving those lines. Okay. So 7th place, Alice. Alice, hit it out of the park. If I'm gonna see, it was like unnatural for me to even use the sports phrase. Okay, so here's Alice. Some notable things she changed was hair length. So she added some extensions, I think, to cover up her upper back, because at previous shows like Girl Power, where she has got second to Ari, her hair was shorter, and it exposes that part of her upper back which is not as developed as her upper body. As the rest of her. So that looks like an imbalance, even though back is not specifically judged in bikini. So I'm just going to show you side by side what that looks like. So here she is at Girl Power, where she has placed second, and we see like a big blank spot in her back, compared to this show where she came fucking bursting full. The fullest she's ever looked. This look also, I think, is win-worthy. There are some things with her front pose that I think prohibit her from winning, but we'll talk about that. But this is her best look yet. And the fact that she covered up her back makes her look more balanced, because we see similar fullness in her entire physique, and we don't see this like lack of density and depth in her upper body. Alice just knocked it out of the park. I loved the suit as well. She looked really good in it. The only thing, the hair does cover up her shoulders a bit, so I would edit that. But not too hard anywhere. Okay, and then her front pose. So here she was in her front pose. The posing thing that I was saying, I think, prevents her from getting a higher placing than the 7th, is this rounding of the arm. I don't really get it. I want it to be straight because it makes her upper body look like oddly round because of this like big gap. So not only are you getting the roundness from the waist taper, the lat tapering into the waist, but you're getting roundness from the elbow, creating this like round space. So I want her to just straighten the arm and keep it tight to her frame. She also looks like she's tilting forward, like this shoulder is sloping down. So I would just stand up taller, just focus on the arch in the low back, and keep the body exactly upright the way it is. So similar thing to what I said about, who did I say that about already? Maybe it was Ashlyn, similar to Ashlyn. So yeah, I thought this was a really great look for her, her best yet. So excellent job. Why do I think she edged out Jordan? So let's look at, I shouldn't have X'd that out, I guess. So why do I think she edged out Jordan? Jordan, I thought this was Jordan's best look to date. I thought the confidence, what did I say about Alice? I wrote Alice, hair change, arm sticks out, almost too full. I wondered. I don't wonder, that was just what I wondered when she walked out and did her, individual. They hadn't done comparisons yet, but I think the fullness was perfect. I wrote fucking bursting, 4 exclamation points. I love the red, front stand tall. Oh yeah, stand taller maybe. Hair covered shoulders, but balanced because of her back not showing. So that's what I wrote. And then pulling her up next to Jordan, why did Allie edge out Alice? I think because, Allie is just more balanced overall. Posing was better. I think all that. Okay, so here is Jordan. Okay, let's see where she's smiling, because that probably means she's fully posed. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm not seeing much smiling. That was something I noticed about Jordan, her stage presence. So I will get to that in a sec. And I also will say something about her little transition pose. And Jordan, good on her. She's been in prep since like right after the Olympia, and she only had a tiny break between like the last show she did and Olympia. So she said that her feedback on Instagram, she said that her feedback was to be a hair tighter and to have more density in the glute ham tie. So first, let's talk about this. Okay, this is better, but I want to see these knees on top of each other. I don't love when it snakes across like this, 'cause I think it takes away from shape and adds another, like, it's hourglass here, and then it's hourglass again in the legs, it looks like. So I would just like those feet to be more stacked, like her heel more closer to the edge of her heel here, or like close to the edge, but not on the edge. So what did I write about Jordan? Okay, Jordan will be at the top because it was alphabetical. Okay, I wrote looking down. She looked down a lot. Makeup, I thought it was a little bit too pink. I want closer to what she just wore at the Legion show. Did she do Legion? I think it was Legion. Oh no, Legion hasn't happened yet. What show did she just do? I forget, guys. Sorry. I know I did a video. Wasatch. It was Wasatch. Okay, that's Ari. Okay. So here is that Alice? Yeah, okay, that's her back pose. And then I thought I had Alice pulled up. Okay, here she is. So, Jordan, she just didn't look as confident at this show, which bummed me out because she really, and I feel for her because I listened to her pod, and she has been saying that, like, you know, she's getting mixed feedback, and that would be really hard, especially after you place 12th at the Olympia. It's like you want to come out and be winning these shows against people who, like, did not place higher than 12th. So I felt for her. But yeah, looking down, makeup was a little too pink. It was still good. I just thought it was a little too pink for my taste. Conditioning looked beautiful, but had the similar mismatch in upper to lower body, so a little harder in the lower than the upper. So she's been coming in softer up top, and we're losing some of that shoulder capping, which I'd like to see because the arm just doesn't really have any differentiation between the shoulder. And then didn't seem confident in her back walk, and her back looked good, but maybe I'd like it a little tighter. Which, if I'm to interpret Tyler's feedback when we see a little more density in the glute ham tie, maybe that could have been achieved by getting a hair tighter than she was. I'm not sure. You know, she would know better, obviously. Why did I even bother saying that? And then model pose, feet. And then I said she was open wider than she was before, which is what she said that Tyler told her to do at her road to Pittsburgh. And I said it was my favorite look of her season. So in her podcast she put out the day before the Olympia, not the Olympia, this show, Pittsburgh, she said that Tyler wanted her belly button more of this 45-degree instead of like more closed off like it's been at the other two shows. But I thought her hourglass shape was really good. I only want that shoulder cap, but this front pose, it's really gorgeous. She looks gorgeous. And I love the hair. I think this is like perfect hair for her. Why do I think Alice edged her out? I think Alice just a little bubblier than Jordan is, and Alice brought more confidence. And then looking at the back poses, so here's Alice, and then here is Jordan. Again, the hair is beautiful. I didn't love the platinum that she used to have, so I think she really like slayed with this. And same thing, Alice is just a little bit fuller. I see what Tyler meant by wanting to be a little tighter in the glute ham ties. Will that mean building more glutes? Maybe, I'm not sure. And I would like to see a little more pop in these rear delts. She just looks a little bit flat in her upper body. And I would like her to straighten the arms a little bit more like Alice's are. And I feel bad saying that, but like the game is comparisons. So it sucks to be more like Alice, but like, you know, that's kind of the sport. And I would say that whether Alice was doing it or not, it's just like, that's what I want to see. And coincidentally, that's what Alice is showing. But I thought fullness is really good, but could be a little tighter to get more pop. Alice has a significant amount of pop, and so did Maria and Allie, who placed above her. So yeah. But I'm happy for Jordan that she's going to take time out before the Olympia. Before she does a couple shows to qualify before the Olympia. But yeah, so good for her. And I feel for her that she's been going through all this, and I'm grateful for her to be doing as many shows as she does. So did QuickTime ever open my video? Oh, well, almost. Okay, well, so now let's get into, guys, sorry, am I boring you? I mean, if you're watching this video, then you're watching the video, so whatever. Not whatever, I care what you think, obviously. Okay, so that was Aimee. Let me just clear up some of this down here. So now let's talk about Ariana. So Ariana is historically someone who I'm like, she could definitely win an Olympia one day. And I still think that I love Ari's look. I was blown away by her when she walked on. I'm gonna give her these comparisons because they really were not helping me out. Okay. I wish my video had downloaded to play for you guys. Okay. So here is Lacey. So we're gonna have her and Ari pulled up together, and I'm just gonna pull up both their back poses right now. So Ari came in and she was breathtaking, like show stopping. Her stage presence is, you can't help but know she's there. Like it's like you feel her presence before she enters. She really, really, really just like, again, knocked it out of the park. Her tan, her hair, her makeup, her suit. It's my favorite I've seen since she placed 7th at the 2023 Olympia, which is still my favorite look of Ariana's. So let's talk about how Lacey and Ari compared against each other. And let's also just, while we're here, let's just look at Maureen's conditioning compared to Ari's. So I think they should have been back to back, honestly, because the amount like they are lacking in similar areas. So in the density in the low body, in the front and the back pose, and they have the same, but they also have the same conditioning. So let's look at those two together first. So like, I think it would have made more sense if they were right next to each other. So here they are in their back poses. So Ari and Maureen, look, it's like they both need density in this glute ham tie. Ari a little more than Maureen, and Maureen has this pop, like differentiation in her rear delts from her tricep that I rarely see with Ari. Like I never see a tightness here where the skin like comes in like to the muscle. I would like to start seeing that, but she looks a little softer in the back than she does in the front. And then when we look at their front poses next to each other, also those have a lot of overlap. So Maureen got this rib thing figured out too. Her rib used to kind of stick out. But like both of them could, Maureen a little more so, if she just angled her toe more like at a 45 degree than this forward straight on, then she might get more density look there. But also she bent her knee, so we eliminated some of this extra space from the hyperextension in her knee. That would help. But both of them need more upper outer glute here. Allie Vathauer, I said the same thing. Like, that's probably the only thing she could work on. And, like, hamstrings and quads. Sorry, I'm, like, obsessed with Allie. She just is really so amazing. But they both have this crazy pop in their shoulders and tight cores, but we lose it on the low body. Ari more so than Maureen. But similar bubbliness and conditioning that they bring. Okay, so now let's get rid of Maureen. And let's pull up Ari and Lacey next to each other. Will this load? No? Okay. I'm going to keep trying. So here is Ari next to Lacey. So I am a big Lacey fan. I love her shape. And like Allie, I said, she is someone who doesn't need a lot of size to be fitting the criteria. Her God-given structure is enough to get her into these higher placings. Her structure, I would say, is even better than Ari's, and Ari has a great structure. But like wide clavicle base, tiny, tiny waist, and she's tall. So when you're taller, like that waist gets itty bitty because your torso is usually longer as well. And hip width, incredible. So what did I say about Ari when she walked out? I wish I brought water up here. I didn't. I thought I did. Okay, so Ari, I wrote very full, gorgeous, tanned, makeup, hair. Back was just a touch soft, like we talked about, and would like to see rear delt pop. Just talked about that. Still want more density in glutes, including front pose. Talked about that. Lacey, I thought this was the best Lacey could look. I thought like she has the right amount of pop. She's a little harder than some other people in the legs, slightly, but she has a little less muscle, so she needs to be. And I don't think it's overly hard. This glute pop could improve a little bit, but I would say that she edges Ari out in that department. Why do I think Lacey placed behind Ari? I think Ari has better density and pop, but I could see an argument for Lacey placing above her. What's that argument? I would say better hourglass shape and structure and consistency and conditioning. Ari is losing a little bit. Her conditioning is similar all over, but I like Lacey's tighter conditioning that shows more of the shapes and lines they want to see in bikini. Where does Ari edge her out? Overall presentation. Period. Okay, and then looking at their back poses, I think I'm gonna go through all top 15. Ari has better projection, so in the projection. So I think Ari wins the back pose, even though I think Lacey's conditioning is better. When I say this, the best Lacey can come in, I still think Lacey has room to get better, specifically in the upper outer glute. But she looks the best that she could with what she has. The poses, I think both poses are pretty good. I think Ari, it makes her torso look even a little bit shorter when she arches this much, but we wouldn't see the shapes here if she didn't. Now, there is a point where you overarch, and then it flattens the glutes and flattens the glute ham tie, but Ari is not at that point. So I think this is a good pose. I would just like to see her a little tighter, but I don't think she can get tighter until she puts on more size in her glutes and legs specifically. Lacey, incredible shapes, crazy long tie-ins, just need some more upper outer. Wow, my voice, I'd be losing it. I'm losing it. Okay, so let's keep going. So, what I write about Lacey. Guys, I am really going all over the place. I wrote really full, doesn't need too much muscle to fit the criteria, crazy glute fullness, slope off on the walk, shape is crazy, maybe more glam. Yeah, okay, wow. I really am, I'm consistent. Oh, and then second call outs, I wrote, I think they should move Yulia and Ari in. But Lady has better glutes. Oh, Lacey, that's what I meant. Jordan and Alice had the glutes. So they stayed in center when they clawed everyone off. And then I wrote they moved Alice to dead center with Ari and Jordan on either side. So, yeah, it was pretty clear in the movements on stage. And I had Alice moving in better, but she was better popping between her and Jordan. You know, my notes aren't perfect words, and I don't know what some of the words meant. There were some typos. Okay. And then let's go into, wow. This video is long. Okay, so let's look at these 5, and then we're gonna, and then we're gonna stop talking about them at that point. Oh, and by the way, on the scorecard, it was the only posing tightness and scores, everything else was the same across the board. Evie and Maureen, Evie lost by 1 point to Maureen. So that was the only difference. Okay, Jordan I already talked about. Okay, clean some of this up. Perfect. Okay. So let's talk about Yulia, because she placed 11th. Yulia, what did I write about Yulia? So I wrote that Yulia, see, sometimes it wrote Julia. So, okay, love the suit. Yeah, love this. This suit looked better on stream. Loved the suit. And I've said sometimes this looks diapery. It did not. This was perfect. Okay, so that's Yulia's front, and then we'll look at her back pose. So, like I said in my preview, Yulia has some of the best glutes in the whole league, I think. Really bursting full. And I wrote that her back pose was perfect, amazing glutes, and tuck blows. I don't know what that meant. I don't know what that meant. Tuck blows. Hair makeup great. Front pose almost needs chest and looks tilted. So my problem with Yulia is always the front pose. The back pose is really good. Like, she could bring these elbows in more. Oh, tuck elbows. That's what I meant. Tuck elbows. She could tuck the elbows, straighten them a little bit, and like angle them in like we saw in Alice. Always a little harder in the hamstrings, but her conditioning is same front to back, top to bottom. I think it was a great back pose. I think she could pull the bottoms down in the back a little bit so it's more heart shape, or at least get more scrunch right there, because she has crazy glutes, but this is not accentuating them in the way that like I know they look. And let's just, while I have it up, okay, this is like usually what Yulia's glutes look like. Let's choose Daytona, because I think Daytona was one of her best looks last year. This is the fullness I'm used to seeing on her glutes. The camera's at a slightly different angle maybe, but like they didn't look as full, and I think it's just because of the suit placement there. But okay, yeah, the only thing she loses it on for me is the front pose. The lower body is great, but the upper body, she looks a little bit tilted forward, and I almost wonder if she needs to build a little bit of chest to get some fullness there, but it looks like she kind of is like scrunched forward. I want her to open up her chest and really stand tall with like that chest open and tall. So that's my feedback there. Waist could be a little bit tighter there. And then looking at, okay, and then G-Bin, love G-Bin. So she got 12. And I was listening to Pro Physique Code earlier, which is Paul Ravella's podcast. He used to be my coach, and he said something similar to what I was thinking, which was like, this is, and he wasn't saying about Jibin, but he was saying that like the people, like if Jennifer Dory showed up to a European competition, she would not get second call outs, or she would get second call outs but wouldn't win. And then she comes to Olympia and wins. And then these other, because she has like that softer look with like, you see the hint of every muscle and it's like just soft enough everywhere. And I wish that were awarded at all these shows, because I think that's like what Ali brought. And he was saying that people who are like a little harder maybe should be edged out, like, or penalized because of that. And I kind of think like that's what they were doing with Jibin here, because Jibin doesn't have as much upper outer glute as some of the people who placed above her. Like let's say even Lexus. And Lexus I think could use a little more upper outer. But she kind of slopes off here, but this conditioning is what they want in Bikini. So Jibin, loved her look. She just needs more upper outer glute here, and a bigger suit cut might conceal it enough for her to get a win, but she just looks a little bit too small there, including in this front pose. When you sit into the glute like that, and maybe she's not fully posed, when you sit into the glute like that, it kind of creates this diagonal line. So I wouldn't do that so much. Love the suit, bring the arm in, back pose I think is great. And then when Jibin walked out, I said that, I wrote breast shape. That couldn't have been what I meant. And fullness and glam, but back pose needs upper outer. I don't know what I meant by breast, but that was obviously a typo. Okay. And then we have Sharon. So Sharon is someone that I talked about. Sharon, I have decided that what my issue is, what's Sharon's last name? Ramos. Okay. Sharon, I think my issue there is, I said amazing suit and glam. Like the suit really stood out to me. Front pose is killer. Oh yeah, front pose stands out. Back pose just needs better shape, and bottoms, like more heart shape, and just not as much shape in back pose. So what I have concluded with Sharon, because she has a lot of muscle, but if she brought these bottoms down, she would get more roundness. She is just kind of straight up and down in this back pose, so she's going to really need to hammer glute density to get that projection and shape in her back pose, because her front pose is crazy, but just genetically, she's more straight up and down. Her muscularity in the front makes up for it and gives her a curvy look, but her back pose, it stands out that she does not have as much shape, so she's going to need to put on more glutes to achieve the hourglass look, and maybe even open up her lats a little bit and build more lat, or just expose her lat more, so we see more of a taper into the waist. But right now, it's just kind of a straight line for me. Okay, and then Jessica Wilson. Love Jessica. So, Jessica got 14th. And what did I say Jessica was going to get? I feel like I got two people right. I know I said I just got Allie right, but I thought I got two people right. So I wrote that, no, okay, I didn't get it right. Anyway, Jessica, I thought brought a beautiful look, but even the commentators, Laura Lee and Sid Gillian, they did not notice her until she was walking off stage. They're like, oh, I didn't even realize she was in that call out. But Jessica looked great. I thought the hair could be brushed through a little bit, and she has lacked a little bit of that upper outer glute the other people have, but really she is stunning and so fun to look at. And seems like just such a wonderful, amazing person. I'm a big fan. She looked incredible when I went and saw her at Battle of the Bay. Her conditioning is great. Lots of pop in these rear delts. Just needs to match out in the upper outer glute. Okay, now we're at 15, man. Lexus. So Lexus looked really good. What did I say about Lexus? So I said, okay, Lexus. Here she is. What I said. Okay. It's a lot of me just vamping and saying, what did I say? And then, Lexus, Jessica, I wrote really full, but doesn't have upper outer glute in the back pose. Looks gorgeous, perfect skin, brush hair a little bit, and then more detail in low abs. I would like to see a kiss of detail in her low abs. So you can rewind a second and see what I thought about her low abs. Okay, Lexus. So where is Lexus on my list? Sorry. I don't want to pause again because the last time I did that, it said my video might be corrupted, and I am not okay with that. Okay. I could have sworn, I'm sure I wrote about Lexus. I wrote about literally everyone. Okay, great shape and freaky from the front, as usual. From the back needs a matching density in the lower body, and from the front, honestly. But I don't mind the suit color, but I don't love it. Awesome presence. That's what I wrote. Hair, makeup, suit, fucking slayed. She's amazing. She's amazing. I'm obsessed. A little more density in the low body. Don't hyperextend that leg, I would say, so we minimize some of this gap. But one of the craziest structures in bikini. Just needs to fill out lower body a little bit. This kind of blends into the leg. The glute blends into the leg. And then her back pose, I mean, just amazing. This back pose is really good. Still a little more density, but like the back pose rivals her front pose. And her front pose is good. It's just the legs in the front pose could use a little bit of size. So guys, okay, did I write anything else? Okay, I wrote, here's what after prejudging, okay, I wrote, I think Ashlyn looks more complete with Aimee's shoulders. Yeah, but not as pumped. Oh, and Aimee's shoulders not as pumped as Ashlyn, but in balance. Oh yeah, not as in balance with the glutes. Yeah, I thought maybe how much Maria moved her head. She kept going like this, like chin. I thought that might be a little bit too much. Final thoughts. Aimee's hip stood out. Ashlyn's pose stood out as like things I wanted to change. My winner is probably Maria. And I wrote Vic, I don't know what that means, didn't make sense. Evie didn't make sense in there for me. Maureen was given a gift. I mean, rude, but that's what I wrote. And then I wrote, posing confidence can get you a long way, but Maureen's poses weren't technical, and physique wasn't as good as 4 and 5, like fourth and fifth place. Looked more like a model and less like a fitness competition, which worked when she won and the year after because she still had the density to show shapes enough, but this time muscle looked deflated. I wrote Evie's conditioning doesn't fit in, and I want to talk about fit model and bikini winners. Okay, I will do that. This video is so long. My voice. Okay. I want to talk about fit model and bikini winners briefly, mainly bikini, because I have really been following this one girl, Maja. I saw Maja's pictures at this show because I made that video about studying the sport. Feel free to watch it. When I saw her at this show, I was like, bitch, that's a pro. Like, look at this. Look at this hourglass shape, effortless, gorgeous, suit color looks good, posing looks really good. And then here she is in her back pose. So she did a pro qualifier, FIBO, missed that qualification, that pro qualifying spot. Could use some work in this back pose, but she fixed it. And then, so she was judged by, later she competed at FIBO, I thought, right? Okay, well, now it's taking me to, I thought she competed at FIBO. Okay, here. Yeah, okay, FIBO, here it is. So Tyler judged her here, didn't give her the pro card, and then he judged her at this show and did. So that must have felt so good. So here she was at FIBO. Again, I was like, oh, good, she's competing again. She fixed the back pose. See how she's not as pinched off and bent forward, which made it look like her lower body was more dominant than her upper body. And then fucking look at her at Pittsburgh. She got the second overall. Amazing. She was so fun to watch. I could not look away. Everything. She just like, she needs a little more in the leg, but like, I'm not here to critique her. She looks great. She just went pro, so enjoy. But she has just such a great structure, such great energy about her. Really just like, really great stage presence. I don't know how she's gotten to this point with, if these are the only shows she's done, like 3 shows, this is her 3rd show. I don't know how she's been able to manage all this because she just knocked it out of the park. That's my favorite phrase today. Okay, and then let's look at the overall winner. So I didn't know who was going to win the overall. I thought it would be Maja. And sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I should have looked it up before, but I didn't. So I thought it would be Maja because Tyler has said in the past, like the person who gets a little bit, the person who is a little bit softer will beat the person who is harder. But this person, Zoe, was harder, but man, was it hard to not notice her. Like, look at this balance. Her stage presence was great. Love the green. She looked tighter on the stream than she did here, so maybe that has something to do with it, but really incredible balance. And like, looks like this. I know people are kind of wondering how the natural federation or part of the federation will look. If it's looking like this, like, I'm excited because, and sorry, that's not to like poo-poo natural people. I don't mean it like that, but I just mean people are always like, oh, I want to see a freak show. Like, who cares about natural bodybuilding? This is incredible. So I am like super excited to see what happens in this natural league. Just amazing. And then fit model Emily Chanel, congratulations. She like finally got that pro card on Mother's Day. She's a mom, so very happy for her. Here she is in her front pose. when I was watching the overall, she was not the softest one. I mean, not the tightest one. And she had the most, she was able to achieve like very firm glutes in her walk, despite not being as lean as, say, Zoe, who we just saw as the bikini winner. So, really, major congratulations to Emily. Really great fullness. Great stage presence. So, congratulations to her. And then I'll do a video on the Las Vegas show, the natural show, but I'm going to end this one here. My nonprofit spotlight of the week, it's just gonna be Trans Lifeline again. I love Trans Lifeline. So yeah, and it's about to be Pride Month, so support queer nonprofits. So thanks, guys. Bye.